Well, everyone had stayed the night in the hotel. I went to go pick him up in the dinghy, and I brought Kyle back first.
Ooh, an ant bridge.
Tying a line to a tree was a horrible idea. It let every ant in Louisiana onto our boat. It was literally covered in ants the next morning. But we washed them off and we're on our way. If you're wondering how we get the dinghy back onto the boat, is a pretty simple plan. You put the dinghy on the swim platform and you just grab the bow line and pull. Then a couple of guys grab the dinghy and lift it on board, and we kind of wedged it between the little platform there and the railing, and then the top of the dinghy you'll see just rests on the railing from the flybridge. And it worked really well because the dinghy being pretty much hollow, there's enough headroom and such. I mean, there's no great way to have a dinghy on your boat, but this worked. And dinghy stowed, we're off and headed south. We finally saw a moving paddle wheel boat thing. And we were lucky enough to go past the Delta Mariner. This is a cargo ship that transports Atlas V rockets from the manufacturer in Alabama down to the launch facilities down at Cape Canaveral. Obviously going north it's empty, but it was pretty cool to get to see it so close and on the water. Now this is our next fuel stop, which was a complete disaster. Nothing went wrong per se, but it was just, we blame Dan on this one.
There's a perfectly paved road, like 300, 400 feet south of where we were. North. But Dan...
I was like, hey, Dan, how about this road? This looks better. It's like, no, that's too far.
Yeah.
So we go to the one that's, just...
slightly
closer. Ninth closer. But, it's this and underwater.
Apparently it was no longer a road, but it was closer. Dan was right. This was closer to the gas station than the paved road.
But, yeah, this was definitely easier.
Oh, yeah. This was way better. And not a pain in the butt at all.
That's a butt.
That's a butt. Oh, there's another butt.
I don't think anyone's going to steal the dinghy.
No. There was just a bunch of cows in a pasture.
Once we were, back on land, it was only a few hundred feet walk from our dinghy to the gas station, so Dan was right, it wasn't very far.
So we get to the gas station.
Also
finally.
Our dinner destination.
Turns out they didn't bother to have any gas.
Apparently running out of gas is pretty common here.
Yeah. You think they'd just order more gas if they run out a lot, but that's just a logic that was lost on that gas station. So walking to the next gas station, which was closed, and the next gas station, which didn't exist, till finally this dude in the truck sees us, picks us up, drives us, 2 miles to the next gas station.
We finally got back to the boat in pitch black darkness. The only footage I have is us desperately trying to keep the mud off the dinghy. After that, it was about a 4-mile trek on the river at night to our anchoring destination.
So we drove at night, which was scary and fun.
And we anchored at night, which was scary and not fun.
And we ended up anchoring on a tree, which Dan had to haul up by himself. And I didn't get a very good shot of it. But,
well, you were filming.
So. Yeah, I was also driving. But, yeah, so he just picked up a tree.
Which begs the question, where was I?
Yeah, why weren't you helping?
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, fair enough. You could help film, though. So, after a few days, the river slowed down a lot, which meant us having to go a lot faster through the water to keep our average speed.
And lo and behold, we had another massive rainstorm coming through. You may notice that the bimini top is retracted. That's because basically what happens is when it gets really windy and stormy, you have to take the bimini down because the wind pushes the Herbert like a sailboat, but obviously without a keel, he just goes sideways and becomes very difficult to steer. So the windier the storm, the less protection Herbert offers to the driver up top, which is probably why he came with a dual helm that we definitely removed because we're from California and we don't have weather here.
This is Baton Rouge, if you don't know. That's some sort of bridge near Baton Rouge.
Now some like air raid sirens are going off. Still don't know what they were.
No.
They're in some like refinery.
Yeah.
Going off.
Hey, that's the port of Greater Baton Rouge. And you start seeing these ships. So it was a nice break from the barges to see ships. Except for these ships, when they were moving, massive waves. Huge, huge waves.
And we could not find a place to anchor or to sit aside. This river in Baton Rouge is lined with barges and ships and such, which of course caused bigger waves.
So the water was high enough that we got over the sandbar that's normally a sandbar, and we anchored out. And there were some children, some high schoolers just like chilling out. So we all went.
Well, we first got there. We were driving in, and the children just scattered.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I think we're the cops, huh?
They did. They thought we were the police.
And we got there, and yeah, we talked to them. They're like, yeah, we thought you were the police.
But they had an ATV and a swing rope thingy and a big tree to jump off of, and there's old Herbert just sitting there in the middle of it all. Oh, one of the kids swam out to us and like chilled on the boat for a while.
Dan's really good at rope swings.
Oh yeah, I love this footage. Whee!
Oh man, it never gets old.
It never gets old.
And then it starts pouring.
Oh god, it was so rainy. So the rain wasn't the worst part. The wind that followed the rain was bad. Okay, there it was really rainy. So the wind got so windy that the boat blew around on its anchor and started dragging the anchor. So we had to pull it all up and reset it, and it was a huge pain. So this is me filming while swimming.
What?
And it was pouring rain, and everything was wet, and we were wet, and there was no dry anything anywhere. And they didn't want to pull the dinghy out because we were going to leave really early in the morning, so we had to swim out to the boat. And then Herbert had to take a leak. You can actually see, like, the black part of the hull is underwater. That's how much water is in this boat right now. We drained gallons and gallons of water. Which then caused a pretty big...
little electrical issue.
Bit of an electrical issue, because apparently a partially submerged engine is not a good engine.
But we made it through.